all, I would like to welcome everyone to our reimagined session titled Azure Arc, the Future Cloud. I'm not going to get into all the technicalities regarding the subject. We have Martin for that right here, right? But in short, it's going to be about a whole scenario on how you can manage the on-prem environment within Azure Arc. Now, a little bit on the person that's going to dive into all that, Martin Dimovski. He's a DevOps engineer with more than 15 years of experience in the industry. And most of the tools that he's been working with are Microsoft-based. Started out as an IT support, system, network, cloud administration roles, covered all that. And right now he's an Azure DevOps engineer. He's also a Microsoft trainer with primary focus on Azure courses. Currently working and residing in the Netherlands. And he wanted me to mention this, he's an avid SS Lazio fan. Am I right? Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. Yes. Martin, take it away. Let's go.
Yes. Thank you for the nice introduction. First of all, welcome all. For those who know me, my name is Martin. I'm born and live basically in Macedonia. Currently living and working in the Netherlands. Basically almost year and a couple of months. Today's topic that we will go through, it's called Azure Arc, and I will try all of you that are here to convince you that Azure Arc is the next step in the cloud. Let's say it like that, because the Azure Arc is in my perspective, let's say it, the future cloud on behalf basically together with Azure. Before we jump into that, I would like to basically just share a couple of things with you for a short introduction and basically hello everyone on the different languages. Let's say it like that. Who am I? Let's say it like that. I'm a Microsoft trainer, mostly focused on the Azure trainings and Azure, because my daily job is very often Azure and Azure DevOps and nothing except that, let's say it like that. I'm trying from time to time something else. As you can see from the badges, very often, or I'm a big fan of this Kusto language for those who have been learning or doing something with the security and checking the data. But most of the time, basically, my two roles in my life, basically one is to be a senior Azure DevOps engineer and a trainer, and the second is to be a good father and of course a good husband. Role as a father and husband, basically, we have a quote at home that we are saying very often, and it's called, we were normal 3 kids away. This need to be edited, basically. We have this quote very, let's say, with my wife talking very often, we were normal. So yeah, this is my family. On these pictures, basically, because we got 2-3 weeks ago, a newborn, so we have 3 kids now, and basically the third one is a boy after 2 daughters. Some of my hobbies, most of the time basically I'm a marathoner, let's say it like that. Would like to run a little bit. This Sunday basically I'm running on the Zandvoort Formula 1 track, basically for 10 miles. That's this weekend. Previously, most often I'm going on a short marathon, something like 5 and 10 kilometers. Also football player, and also as Marco mentioned, basically I'm a big football fan of Lazio. What else we can say here? Basically that was me. Long story short, let's say it like that. Let's jump to our today topic, Azure Arc. So we will have 6 different topics. What is Azure Arc? Why Azure Arc? How Azure Arc can help us? What is the pricing model? How Azure Arc can save some money to us? And why I think that Azure Arc is the future cloud. And of course, at the end of the presentation, I will show you a real demo where tomorrow, if you have a customer or a client that have a lot of things that need to be connected with the cloud, you can easily manage that with Azure Arc. But before that, let's jump on the beginning. What is Azure Arc? And basically why I like the Azure Arc. Azure Arc is basically, like you can see on the picture, is a bridge or a connection between the cloud and the on-prem side. And that's really big benefit or a topic that a lot of customers and clients in the last 2 years, let's say it like that they are struggling how they can make a direct connection without spending a lot of money. Because other way, except Azure Arc, basically Azure Arc is the only tool currently on the market which allows you to connect the on-prem side with cloud. The other way is only to create a virtual network that can basically make a direct connection. But I think for those who are technical person are aware that if you create a virtual network, that will cost you a little bit more money, maybe more, let's say it like that, a little bit more money, let's say it like that, because the virtual network is calculating the pricing model on the bandwidth and how much transfer you're doing and this or that. So basically, why I see that Azure Arc is a good benefit, really because can be, and as I mentioned, is the only tool currently on the market. It can manage all 3 clouds. That means that if you implement Azure Arc in your company or you want to play around with that, you can connect either if your application or either your virtual machine, it's in the Google Cloud, or if it's in AWS. You can connect that with Azure Arc. What's the idea? Basically, you will have a centralized place in the Azure, which is called Azure Arc, and you can manage all of your resources from different areas, different cloud providers, different applications, different virtual machines into one place. That's the biggest benefit. And basically, as I mentioned, everything will be centralized. Azure Arc, as I mentioned, can be connected with a lot of things. First of all, my primary focus when I started with Azure Arc, I must mention, was how the people or the customers can connect their on-premises, on-prem data centers with the cloud. That was the first idea, or how I come 3 years ago to Azure Arc. Basically, that was my first imagination. Okay, now what we will do, because I think for those who have been working in the past, they are aware that a lot of companies were spending millions and millions on the servers, on the storage, and so on and so on. So this is the currently only way, and that's why my focus is completely on that, and that's why I'm saying I think it will be the next future cloud. The first thing is that can be connected with the on-premise environment, or you can connect your on-prem environment to the Azure Arc. The second is that edge technologies without any problem. If you have a custom or IoT or anything else, you can connect in a couple of seconds just with Azure Arc. And the biggest benefit, I think, and maybe why, let's say, in the whole story of this Microsoft, Amazon, and the Google Cloud, why Microsoft is one step up front from the others, is just because the only tool that can connect 3 different cloud providers is the Azure Arc. The idea behind that is that basically everything that you will implement within your Azure cloud, within your organization, you can do the same within also in the Azure Arc. That means if you have a governance model, if you have security and identity, dev tools, DevOps, or something, IoT, edge devices, data centers, DB, or anything, and you need to provide a governance or something else within your organization, you can do it basically after you implement within Azure. The same can be propagated basically to the Azure Arc, which means it will be propagated to the different cloud if you have any product in other cloud provider, but also you can provide that governance in your on-prem side, which means that if tomorrow you have an audit in your company or something else, you can easily basically follow the same guidance, same governance to be everywhere from your products that you are using. And that's the biggest benefit, let's say, from Azure Arc. Why Azure Arc is the biggest, let's say, the big question here is just because you can run Azure services anywhere, or let's say everywhere. You can implement the same security how it is in the Azure cloud. You can implement the same on your on-prem side, but also on your other cloud provider if you have any service. You can make a management level on a high level, governance model also, and the most important, why basically, as I mentioned, why I started with this is just because I'm expecting basically in the near future, let's say it like that, that a lot of customers will struggle how they can connect their on-prem site with the cloud. Because let's be honest, nobody is throwing money or millions, let's say, just like that, you know, this is the server, let's buy it, and tomorrow let's throw it again. So that's the idea behind it, which Azure Arc will give availability to all of the people or all of the customers which we are working for that can connect any type of service within one place. And the biggest benefit for those who are technicians like me, they can manage all of this stuff from a centralized place called Azure Arc. What we have next here is basically Azure Arc brings Azure services and management to any infrastructure. And basically, it's one type of extension, let's say it like that, to the Azure. Basically, the behind or the background of the Azure Arc is completely Azure. This is, let's say, some small extension like we are using for Google Chrome or something else. So you are basically here, you don't even install, you just need to search in portal.azure.com, Azure Arc, and you will see the product immediately. It's completely free. You don't need to worry about that. So you can press it and play a little bit if you're curious how this works. If not, you can wait till the end and we will see it, how it works in the demo. Innovation is the idea, and the most important, as I mentioned, for me, let's say it like a technician, for me, the one of the most important topic when I'm working was to have a centralized place to manage all of my servers, applications, to implement, I don't know, Azure policy, to implement governance, to implement cloud framework, to implement this or that. Basically, this is the easiest and let's say the best way where you can also in parallel monitor all of this stuff from one place, and that is called from the Azure Arc. We mentioned already, these are, let's say, some type of a marketing pictures where Microsoft is promoting themselves, like you can connect, but it's true, let's say it like that. A couple of months ago, Microsoft announced, and is already available, that even if you have a VMware infrastructure, you can connect that VMware infrastructure within Azure Arc without any problem. It was not a case 6 or 8 months ago because it was available just for the, let's say, Hyper-V virtual machines for those who have on-prem infrastructure. AWS and Google Cloud were available on a first place, but the latest one is basically the VMware that now it's also available. So imagine a customer that have a minimum 100 virtual machines on the vCenter, and they're using VMware. The only way to put them in the cloud, let's say, is either to migrate one by one, let's say it like that, or he can still continue to use that VMs, but he can manage them from the Azure cloud, let's say it like that. So it's a really nice benefit and a big benefit. The next step, because very often when you make a plan, what we will use, how we will implement, very often we are coming with the topic how much. I go up. Why is it going up? Back. Okay. Very often we are going basically, or we are getting the question how much this will cost us, and that is one of the basic, let's say, answer that we need to give to our CEO, to our CTO or something, because at the end, you will need to provide how much this will take from our budget, because it's not so simple just to say, okay, we want to use that and blah, 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 blah. So you will need to provide basically a lot of information, how much it will cost, what we will use there, what it will happen, this and that. As I mentioned, and I can show you immediately, basically, here it is, I think the screen is visible. If I open immediately the Azure Arc, here it is, just to ensure that everything is the same and nothing is changed. Okay, it's loading. Okay, here it is. We have the last topic from here. It's called pricing. I refresh it at the wrong time. Okay, here it is. If I go on the bottom and press pricing, you will see that there it's written no additional cost for some basic stuff or the things that you want to play a little bit and to see how this works and how this is doing. As you can see, attaching servers, resource inventory, access and security for a role-based access control, environments and automation through templates and extension is completely free. You don't have any cost. The paid service is basically if you want to put Azure policy to automate, let's say, to propagate Azure policy to a lot of, let's say, virtual machines, applications, or this or that. Also, if you are a container guy, I'm saying like that, for example, you're using the Kubernetes. Also, you have a free options where you can start building your Kubernetes cluster and attach the cluster to Azure to make a resource inventory organization. Also, the security is on the first places very often in the Azure Arc. It's free. Like as you can see, the role-based access control on the subscription is free also for the Kubernetes if you're using. What is paying here if you want a little bit strong configuration for the cluster. And basically for that, you will need to pay some silly price, let's say it like that, $2 per month, let's say it like that. And basically you can connect your Kubernetes configuration or Kubernetes cluster whenever you want. Additional on this, as you can see, it has a lot of other functionality. If you're using resource graph, you need to use Azure resource groups or tags. It's completely free. The only thing is basically it works on the same way. If you want some additional hardware resources, let's say it like that, like virtual machines that are more powerful or applications that are more powerful, you will need to pay some small amount of money, let's say like that. A lot of things are covered, or let's say all of the services that are available within Azure, you can basically, if you're using on your on-prem side, you can also make a connection here. As you can see, yeah, so just on top of this, one topic from this, it's called Azure Stack. I don't want to confuse you with this. This is completely different service within Azure. For those who never heard or never have been working or never seen, Azure Stack, it's called a physical server where on it you can install the same portal Azure. So it's specialized just for a Microsoft products, and basically it's mostly used for companies like pharmacy, big investment company where they don't have any big connections, let's say it like that, within the cloud, and they must keep the data safe, basically, into their organization. And that is called Azure Stack. It can be ordered directly from Microsoft. So you have Dell servers, HP, Lenovo, and so on and so on. Everything else, when you open Azure Arc, I said I was explaining that just to do not confuse you, because that's the only thing from all of these services that is not used, let's say it, from the Azure Stack. For this, you will need to have a physical hardware to use this. After we see the pricing, basically, again, I will mention to all of you, for those who are using or have access within Azure, you can easily basically open it through the Azure portal and see how this works. We will see it, the simple scenario later after the presentation, and you will see how easy it is, and it's basically free. It will not cost you anything. How Azure Arc can help us is basically one big topic, and that topic is one really nice thing, let's say it like that. It uses one agent for everything. Basically, what we are doing when we want to connect our on-prem or our other cloud provider like AWS or Google Cloud, you need to install just one agent or give a proper permissions to that user so he can easily make a connection between your Azure Arc and the other thing, let's say point B, that he needs to connect them. The good thing also is that you can build applications and run everywhere. You can create a Kubernetes cluster. You can also, if you have an on-prem Kubernetes cluster, you can easily connect with the cloud. You can connect the SQL. If you have a huge database, something like 2-3 terabytes, for example, it will take years to migrate to the cloud. And at the end, you're not 100% sure that all of the data is migrated there. Also Azure policy, and on top of that, we have the Microsoft Defender for the cloud, which is also available within Azure Arc. How this looks in the big picture, let's say it like that. On your left side, on your screen, you can see that we have the Azure, where we use the Azure Resource Manager, the cloud native practices, the virtual machines, the databases, applications, CLI, PowerShell, and so on and so on. And on the right side, we have the extension called Azure Arc, which means Azure Arc is just as an additional service, let's say it like that, within Azure, where you can easily use all of the tools that you have in the Azure. And also on top of that, the biggest, let's say, role of Azure Arc to connect any type of service within your Azure subscription. How Azure Arc can save money? How I came to this idea is basically, as I mentioned previously, a lot of companies were using physical data centers in the past, and they invest a lot of money. So imagine now if they have 5 like this on the picture and 5 racks where they have a different servers, different storage, different this or that. And imagine that they will need to throw it away, which means, let's say minimum 10, 15, 20,000 euros. They spend it on these servers, and now they need to throw because the cloud came. And basically what we have with the cloud, we don't see anything, let's say it like that. We are just using and paying. Basically, it's a role model, which it's a monthly base, and you're using, paying, using, paying, using, paying, and so on and so on. With this, we can, my idea, and I already implemented it at one customer, he have 7 like this, let's say it like that, 7 racks. He didn't know what to do. And he has, how much? 100 developers that are working .NET. So what they have done, they deployed virtual machines on this. And the guy that was responsible for the cloud just connected all of the VMs. And now basically they are just managing everything from the Azure, the portal.azure from the portal, and doing the governance, implementing the cloud framework. He's managing everything. If something is failed down, he can easily check from there because he put the Azure monitor and implement all of this stuff. So one way or one big benefit is on top of the Azure Arc that is free, is also that can save some money from the current cost that we have within the cloud. Because it's really famous currently, I think most of you are aware, for those who are working in the cloud, very often we get the question how we can spend money in the cloud. So this is one topic where you can use this and basically spend some money with Azure Arc. Why Azure Arc is the future cloud? Basically, this is the picture that explains everything, and basically everything that I was talking, let's say it like that, which means that you can connect everything that you see within Azure, and you can implement basically within the Azure Arc integration. As you can see in the middle, we have the Azure Arc integration, where he can be part of whole your cloud scenario, cloud architecture that you have within your company, your organization. And you can even make a connection, for example, for everything that you have from here on the bottom. All of these racks can be separated on a different data controllers where you will have Kubernetes, applications, storages, SQL servers, and so on and so on. And on top of that, after Azure Arc integration, imagine that you can manage everything from the portal. You can see your monthly cost directly within the subscription, but also you can put the monitoring tools to use the log analytics, Azure Monitor, Key Vault also, or something else, if it's needed, of course, for your organization. We have also this picture where it gives just a clean overview that in the middle we have the Azure cloud, and basically within the Azure cloud we have the Azure Arc, from where we can centrally manage from Azure, but also we can extend the on-prem, as we mentioned, and connect all of these on-prem data centers basically within Azure cloud. If somebody have any questions, I think you can put it in the comment or comment it, just put the question, so we will check it later. Don't shy to ask anything. Basically, just let me know. I will check it shortly. In the meantime, I will just show you a quick, not quick, but I will basically show you a demo. Basically what we have, what type of scenario it is. For example, I will create one simple virtual machine. Imagine that this is the customer VM that is on-prem, let's say Exchange server, virtual machine, or some application that you have basically in the on-prem side. So I will create one VM and I will install from scratch, basically. I will install this VM with completely new Windows server. Let me just click on this to do not wait. This is the image server. This is from scratch virtual machine where we will install, as I mentioned, the Windows server. And basically after that, the same VM, we will connect to the Azure Arc in couple of basically 2-3 minutes it will take. So you will see the same VM within the cloud. In the meantime, while the VM is installing, do not wait, basically, I will quickly show you the nice, let's say, overview, or the technician part, let's say it like that. Sorry. On the beginning, you can see that you have an overview. Depends what you want to migrate in the cloud, or what you want to connect with the cloud. Microsoft gives you a couple of opportunities. As you can see Kubernetes clusters, servers, or SQL Server. So you can easily from here just, for example, if I have SQL Server, I can press add and give me basically what type of things and choose the proper on time. Here it is. So he immediately gives me or asking me what you have, what type of server, do you want to connect directly, or do you want to use a proxy in this case? So you can easily choose this, or if you want to be a little bit more advanced, you can press learn how to install by the PowerShell. So in the same time, while you are checking what type of things you can do, basically Microsoft is giving some additional guidance that can help you in the future, or for what you can use for something additional. As I mentioned, it's still in preview mode. The VMware is available now. We have also the System Center, which is still in the preview mode. These two are from the, let's say, last 2-3 months. So it's still in the preview mode. So very soon I'm expecting to be just the normal for using. Other thing that we will see it, we have the custom location. That means where this will be, where your server you want to be, on which location to be stored. We have the data controllers, we have resource bridges also, which means it's a packaged virtual machines where you can has a built-in Kubernetes management cluster. We have the service principal, also the private link scopes. If you need a private link to connect to this or that, you can easily use from here. On top of that, we have Azure Arc virtual machines, which means you can create a VM in the cloud where it will be used in the Azure Arc, not the other normal VM, let's say it like that. Azure Stack, we said, this is a physical server where you can install the same cloud that we are seeing now. We can install that on the on-prem side. Kubernetes cluster, as I mentioned, from here, either you can create the Kubernetes cluster within the Azure Arc, but also you can put your on-prem cluster to the cloud. Here it is, the servers. These are two from previous that I was using. These are offline, basically. This is also the VMs that I was using for the Azure Arc. So shortly, the VM is still installing. So shortly, we will see the third one. We have for the SQL Server, vCenter, also the PostgreSQL and the SQL managed instances. What I found it useful, or one nice comment from one of my customers says that he connected the SQL database. That was some production database, which was 3.5 terabytes, which even Microsoft didn't guarantee that all of the data will be successfully migrated, which gives him really a lot of benefits, let's say it like that, with using the Azure Arc, where he don't need to think about if his data is still safe, is it exposed on the internet, and so on and so on. So he just make a connection from the Azure, and he managed basically his SQL Server and the database directly from the Azure Arc. Additionally, we have the API management from here, API services, functions, logic apps, and so on. Basically, these are currently most used, let's say, Azure Arc things. These are the possibilities that Azure Arc offers to us, where we can use all of these things. Also, we can basically, so far as I know, because I'm part of this, let's say, group of Azure Arc within Microsoft, basically they are doing a lot on the new things, and they want, the idea behind that is all of the services that are available, let's say, from here, that we have seen here on the left side very often when we are using Azure, to be available also here. That means that any type of application, any type of failover cluster, any type of server that you have on the on-prem side, the idea is that it will allow to you to connect to the cloud, basically. Then nothing can stop you basically to connect that to the Azure cloud. That's the idea, basically, the whole idea behind the whole Azure Arc, which gives a lot of opportunities, and also, as I mentioned, a lot of benefits like saving money, save time a lot, and so on and so on. The VM is almost to the end. Yeah, this is completely new VM. I will restart it. In the meantime, I will mention again, for those who have some questions, please type it in the comments, guys, and don't shy. Girls also, sorry. So feel free to ask any type of question. Let's now, the VM is starting. Just a sec, here it is. Starting. Queue it up. Okay. Getting you guys ready. Let's see. Getting ready. We are getting there. Okay, we are coming there. Hopefully. See. In the meantime, because it's a VM, we can prepare everything. So this is a VM. Let's say it like that. Oh, here. Because it's a VM, that means that this is a server. So I will click it, let's say here, and press add from here. And you will see that now they will ask me about how much servers, what do you want to do, and so on and so on. Just to load the page. Here it is. What type or what do you plan to do? You can generate a script for one server. If you have multiple servers that you want to migrate them to the cloud, you can easily press the multiple servers. So which means that he will install different agents on the different servers also, which at the same time you can migrate or make connection, let's say, not migrate, make a connection directly to the cloud. And also you can add the servers to the update management. In the meantime, I will just quickly add a password for this VM. Enter. So she will now, it will now, I think, apply all of the settings just to show you that everything is clean. And okay, 1, 3. Okay, video was disconnected. Yeah, connecting. Just change the resolution. Okay, yeah, here it is. Okay, we will leave it here. No, yeah, we can leave it here. In the meantime, I know that I will basically add a single server. So I will press generate a script. It will ask me a couple of more questions. Let's say it like that, in which resource group and so on and so on. As you can see, this is the step 2. The biggest thing that you must be aware that this server or the access to be allowed need to have access to the port 443, which means if it's blocked within your company, please take in consideration that you must basically enable this. Connectivity method, basically, it's simple. You need to have internet connection, but if you have a more secure or you have a lot of data that need to be secured, let's say it like that, you will need basically to you will need basically to enable also the private endpoint. As you can see, here it is. I will press just next. This is the things that you will need to select. He gives you also for the connectivity method, the public endpoint, proxy server, or private endpoint. This is the subscription, the resource group. As you can see, I will select, let's say, this one, Azure Arc resource group 1. So this is just previously created. I need to select the region for the where I want basically to add the package, the agent package that will be generated, because the location will be also within this package where you will need basically, it will automatically put your server there. I will use operating system Windows. Also it's available for Linux if you have on-prem. Connectivity method, you have, as I mentioned, public endpoint, you have a proxy server if you're using within your company, but also you have a private endpoint to use it for your VM. I will press next. Here it is. As you can see, I can easily select data center, city, state of district, or country or region. For example, data center, I will put it typical or that like this. City, I will put Skopje, and then here I will put country, something like this, Macedonia. So for tax, I will not put anything, and I can easily now just press next. Here it is the script. It automatically creates the authentication token, the ECUS, the tenant ID, basically under my subscription. He will take the installation package for the agent. So I can easily now just press download. Here it is. I have now already one, so I will put it here on desktop. And then basically I will just press close. In the meantime, here it is the VM that we created a couple of minutes ago. I will minimize these things. As you can see, this is Windows Server 2022 data center. So I will minimize this one and just go in the desktop, take the script, onboarding script, copy, and just put paste. Once I basically copy here, I can easily, maybe it's more easier if I open it via Windows PowerShell ISA, where you will see all of these details, basically the same details that we saw before we download the script, but also just to be sure that we are using the proper location, it have an authentication token, is the agent there, and so on, just to be 100% sure, let's say it like that, where we will check, let's say, all of the things for our virtual machine. Here it is. He reads the subscription, he reads the resource group, the tenant ID, the location, the token, the cloud, Azure cloud, basically, that we're using. This is the net service protocol. He will download the package from here automatically for us. He will install the hybrid agent also. And basically, this is the resource group and the tenant ID that he reads these variables directly from here. So now what I can do is basically just run the script. Let me just quickly. Yep, I think I remember the password for this account. Let's see. He will do everything for you. You will need just now to log in, let's say, in the Azure. So basically, that's the only thing that you will need to do. Now he will ask for authentication. He's now downloading the package, the agent, that it will work. Just a second. It's downloading. Come on. It will take a lot of time. Yeah, download. This might take. Okay. A browser. Yeah, that's the next one. It will take the browser. Here it is. It's blinking, as you can see. He will automatically now open the login.windows.net, from where we can basically authenticate our account. This is the internet connection, is not the agent, but I will leave it like this. It should basically open it in a second. I will just quickly refresh. Okay. Okay, what he says? No, you don't need now, maybe later. Okay, come on. Okay, let's see if this is the VM or what is happening. I think it should have an internet connection. Just quickly to check. Connect that. Yeah, now it opens. It was the internet connection. Here it is. Login. Yeah, here it is. So I will just quickly put my, let's say, admin account for this. Admin that's on the Microsoft.com. Yeah. Now the password. Mistaken password. Let's see if we. If we put it wrong, yeah, again, the wrong password. Let me try it one more time. Slow, so that's the one thing. Let's see. Again. Try this one, maybe. I have a different or I'm wrong. Let me quickly check. Or maybe I can put the other account. Yeah, I will quickly put my other account. Just a sec. Okay. Members. Yeah. In the demo, as I mentioned, nothing can go wrong, but as always with the cloud, we must have this surprises, let's say it like that. So let's try to fix this. Yeah, you recognize this one. Let's see. Yep, pick an account. Yep, he wants to use the let's say you can mobile app or email. Yeah, let's go for the email to the address and read we'll set it to the okay. This is because Microsoft a couple of days ago implemented this, so let me open. Security code. We have it 684 808036. Yeah, authentication is complete. I can just now close that. And as you can see, 30%, 60, and basically the VM is in the cloud. Let's say it like that. So now after this is done, I can just go back to the Azure Arc. Here it is the servers. If I refresh the page, it will maybe take 30 seconds or something like that. Here it is. As you can see, this is our latest VM. Here it is, data center TAF, Windows, and so on. And if I open now this, you can see that I have a lot of options. Here it is. As you can see, this is the city, country, data center, how it works, the tax. This is the IP address or the version of the version of the operating system. This is the fully qualified name, of course. For those who are technical, let's say it like that, they will know that they will need to change the name. So then you will have the proper name of the VM. Connect, we can use basically, this is the latest feature within Azure Arc, where you can easily also read the password and the secret from the key vault. Also, Microsoft is providing that you can use the SSH key from where it's already pre-generated all of the information. So you will need to put the username or use the password or SSH, depends, of course, every time of the VM. So you can easily connect also in the browser. So you don't need to go RTP, SSH, or something else. Additional, we have the admin center. You can easily connect. If you are using admin center, you can easily connect that. The security stuff, you can easily put here and enable the Defender for Cloud for this VM or the VMs that you want to connect within Azure Cloud. We have next extensions where we can install the log analytics. What else? The backup. If you have some additional one and you're not using the Azure backup, you can easily install additional here and you can basically add these extensions directly. You can update and do this or that. A lot of things basically you can be enabled. On top of that, we have the Azure logs. I think for those who are working with Azure, they are aware that you can protect your resource from here. So you can put if somebody to do not delete your VM and so on. We have operations like policies where you can apply directly to this one, assign policy and so on. Then we have the machine configuration, the auto manage. We have the updates where you can use the best practices from production for this, for that, basically everything. The same things that you can do within Azure Cloud, you can also do basically in the Azure Arc. For the developers or for those who are working with development, we have the insights where you can see also if you connect your application with Azure Arc, you can see the application insight where you will see all of the logs and the performance of your virtual machine. We have the log analytics, and also if you want to automate some of the things, you can easily add a task, create basically currently via the template. Currently it's just this available for the VM, but Microsoft is very often updating these topics and very often from time to time, they are adding some new template. On top of that, or at the bottom of this line, we have basically support, where if you have any issue, you can easily contact Microsoft anytime, and you will see if you have, as you can see, read it, all of the things. So what you need to do is just describe the issue and basically check what is wrong with your VM. And I think basically that's it. I don't see so far any question in the QA tab. So if somebody have any question, please, let's say, wrote it. I will be here for sure. I was thinking that it will take 30-35 minutes, but it seems I was a little bit long than usual. Sorry about that for all of that I spent your time after work time. Let's say it like that. So does somebody have any questions?
Yeah, I would like to also encourage everyone to jump in with any questions, regarding anything that Martin has covered so far, or of course you can ask something different. Go ahead, use Martin while you have him here, his knowledge, his expertise and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one question from Sasha. Actually, that's two questions. And one of them, the first one is, can you give more info on the hybrid worker that is installed and compare it to the Microsoft monitoring agent?
Basically, let's go with the first and then you will read the second one. Okay, just a sec. Yeah. The hybrid worker, Sasha, is basically just an agent that makes, or let's say it, he makes connections or make authentication with your on-prem side and the cloud side. That's how this agent, and that is his job. But the Microsoft monitoring agent is basically a different type of agent, which means he is sending something through the cloud. Basically, in this case, the monitoring agent is sending a logs. And this guy is not sending a logs, which means if you want to install or to send the logs also from Azure Arc on-prem side, you will need to install also this additional agent, which will allow to this VM to send logs within Azure Arc. And the second, is the hybrid worker the same as one created when the VM is set for Windows update via is the hybrid? Yes, that's correct. The hybrid worker basically is the same as the one that is created when the VM is set for the Windows updates via the automation accounts. Thank you, Sasha, for these questions. Yeah, this is about the first one. Basically, just to be on top of this, I think you're a fifth or sixth person about this, about the first question. It gets a lot of discussions in the background also within Microsoft, because they are planning in the next year to retire some of the agents, but they are still not clear who will be responsible from the agents for what, and which of these agents will stay alive. Let's say that I suppose they will do one type of agent where that will be available for Azure Arc, for monitoring and so on, all in one. Let's say it like this as a package, because currently they have a different type of things about this. Can Bastion be implemented? Not Bastion, but what Microsoft is doing is basically, if you open the VM, if I press the button connect, it's not specifically Bastion, but it's more, it look like it's some type of similar, or maybe that Microsoft is still working, is this one, basically connecting a browser where, for example, I will use this one, and if I press connect, he will give me basically down from here something similar, let's say it like that. But be aware also, like on the Bastion, he will need to create a storage account first, and then basically he will allow you to connect to this VM via the browser. They are still working basically to answer not it. I think it will not be called Bastion. Let's say it like that. Okay. Thank you, Sasha.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, I think that's about it. We can wrap it up, Martin. What do you think? Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
I think the same. Thanks for the people that didn't get sleep, and thank you for okay. And regular. Okay, Damian, thank you for this question. What's the difference between Windows Admin Center in Azure Arc and basically regular Windows Admin Center? The difference, there is not much difference. The only difference that it is in the Azure Arc is basically you can do or manage all of these things from here. As a best practice that Microsoft is suggesting, if you have a regular Windows Admin Center, you can connect your Windows Admin Center with this one, so you don't need to manage two different. So you can use this one just with one VPN connection to your on-prem site, and basically that's it. Otherwise, nothing specific is different. Basically, Admin Center is just the Admin Center where you can manage all of this stuff for the VMs and for the applications, containers, and so on and so on. Okay.
Okay, we're slowly warming up. Anyone else?
Yeah.
I think as slowly as we're going to try and close up this one, there's going to be another question popping up. That's my feel right now.
Maybe if we say that's it, we are done.
Yeah,
for
that's it.
And the people, yeah. It seems that's it for today.
Yes, I think we're good now.
Yeah.
Okay, Martin, thank you very much. That was an amazing presentation. I enjoyed it. I'm sure that everyone that joined up enjoyed it as well. Thanks to everyone for joining us. And of course, keep following the Reimagine sessions. We'll have more speakers just like Martin with exciting presentations and a lot to say and share their experience. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you very much for the organization. Thank you for all of the people that stayed till the end, and I wish to all of them have a nice evening, guys.
You too, Martin.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.